Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Talking Games with Kellie and Andrew. I'm Andrew.
And I sure am Kellie.
You did it again. This was jarring because normally we have like 2 minutes at the front of an audio recording before we actually start the podcast, and this was like 4 seconds.
Yeah, we really got into it.
We hit record, and then we were, in it. We're in it to win it.
Wow.
You know who else is in it to win it?
Whom?
Microsoft. They announced, finally, the release day of Starfield in a trailer that they posted online, kind of a teaser, I'd say. They announced that it's coming September 9th. They also announced that they're going to be showing off a lot more of it in a Starfield Direct.
September 9th?
Sorry, September 6th. I flipped the number.
That's Beyonce's... Oh, no, it's not. Keep going.
Anyway, they're doing a Starfield Direct, and it's called that. They're just straight up stealing that from Nintendo. No developer direct here, just direct. They're doing that right after the Xbox Game Showcase, which has finally been announced for June 11th. So, Kellie, that was a lot to unpack. I don't exactly know why I felt the need to put that in one story. I think it's just because it was that much. It was so much in like one tweet.
Right.
It
was a lot in a trailer as well.
You like the trailer a lot?
Well, they posted the trailer and it was like a trailer, and then Todd Howard popped up and he was like, let me tell you all about what's going on here at Bethesda making Starfield. And it was like, what do we do? It was like, whoa, what's going on?
I didn't watch that part because I saw Todd start speaking and I closed it.
Well, I did watch it and it wasn't really that exciting. But
okay. I mean, I imagine if they're announcing that there's going to be something exciting later, then why would you announce or why would you show anything exciting here?
Right.
I don't know. Another key thing is that date, June 11th. That is smack dab right in the middle of Summer Games Fest, which takes place a few days before, and E3, which takes place a few days after. That does put it on a Sunday, though, which is what they always do. So
yeah,
it's not that
Sunday
surprising.
Fun day.
Sunday, Monday. Anyway, they also, that confirms that they won't be part of E3 itself. I think they made a comment. They said that officially, probably right after this. But yeah, I don't know. If they're not part of Summer Games Fest or E3, part of me is like, I don't want to prejudge, but I'm like, Summer Games Fest was really good last year because it kind of rode off the lack of E3. It had lots of different developers there, and also like the Xbox event called itself a Summer Games Fest event. The PlayStation State of Play that week called itself a Summer Games Fest event. If things aren't calling themselves that, I don't know. What even is that event?
Right.
Just the Jeff show?
We love the Jeff show.
Oh, did you watch the Oscars?
Not really, no.
Okay, I just heard they premiered a new trailer for a movie at it, and I was like, so they are going to start copying the Game Awards.
A trailer for what movie?
I think The Little Mermaid.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Was it just during the commercials or was it during the show?
I'm sure it was during the commercials.
Oh, I guess Disney owns the Oscars, so that makes sense. Either way, I think the key thing is like a lot of people have been saying, oh, if they just put trailers in the Oscars, they'd be more interesting. But I'm like, no, they wouldn't, because the Game Awards aren't interesting.
Award shows, like, at this juncture aren't really the most interesting.
Yeah. And nobody got slapped or anything, which is like fine. I don't like violence, but like the Oscars had the slap, and then the Game Awards had Bill Clinton kid.
That's true. He didn't do any slapping, though.
No, his was nonviolent, but certainly disruptive. Anyway. Bless you.
That's definitely a word for it.
Kellie just yawned, and I'm a little offended that she's so bored by what we're talking about.
I'm not bored. I'm just a sleepy girl.
Oh.
You know where I will be bored, though? E3 2023. Because really no one's going to be there. But according to, E3, the people who run it, the Entertainment Software Association, they're totally going to have big names there.
I love the trust us.
Trust us. Xbox isn't going to be there. PlayStation's not going to be there. Or I guess I should say Sony and Microsoft. Nintendo's not going to be there. So the big name that they have right now is Ubisoft.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of funny to even like say that.
Big name.
Big name. So I'm not really sure like what they're talking about because it's simply not true. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not run by the Entertainment Software Association anymore. It's run by a events company named ReedPop, who also runs PAX, EGX, and the Star Wars Celebration. No wonder it's so busted.
I guess
it's not even the same people.
Because the ESA is a lobbying organization, which when I found that out at whatever old I was like, what? Like this is a government like organization that lobbies for the interests of video game companies, and in return those companies pay the ESA a lot of money to go to E3. And I'm just like, wow. Government.
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense that the French company's the only one doing E3 then.
Yeah.
They have a different government, a French one.
That's true. The French do have a French government.
You know who else has a French government?
Who?
Warner Brothers.
Okay.
They have their own government.
Are you saying that there's a lot of guillotining happening at Warner Brothers?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thanks. That's exactly my clever thing I was saying. Kelly, you're a big fan of the Suicide Squad game that isn't out yet.
Oh, yeah. Yep, that's me. Big fan.
Excited for that May 25th release?
Sure am.
Maybe
down.
Don't be.
Oh.
Because reportedly, it's being delayed. The thing that confuses me about this is I feel like this being reported, which it was reported on March 9th, would trigger Warner Brothers to be like, yeah, it's true, and announce the delay immediately. But now it's been 4 days as of time of recording, and they haven't officially confirmed it. That seems weird to me.
Yeah, it's a bit awkward.
Because, like, either it is getting delayed, and they're just sitting on their hands, and I'm like, guys, tell us. Or it's not, but that's not really likely because Jason Schreier broke it, and he's kind of always right. I don't know.
Yeah.
And also, like, there's rumblings that it's because of the bad reception from the PlayStation State of Play, but, like, it's reported to be a pretty small delay, just a few months. It would have to be, like, a year-plus delay to fix the things that people didn't like about that State of Play trailer.
Yeah.
And it's a live service game from the ground up. Like, it's designed to be that way. You can't undo that. Right.
It's in the bones.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine. I don't really care, but I'll leave it at that. I don't know. To each their own. Their own?
It's been quite a saga with this game.
Saga? More like Mario.
I'm not sure that works.
I guess I could have said super. Saga? More like Super Mario.
You just got all fuzzy and blurry, your sound.
Can you still hear me?
Oh, yeah, now I can.
Well, now the audience is I wonder if the audience is going to hear it.
I don't know. It was like you were underwater or something. It was weird.
Ooh. Maybe I was underwater looking for cheaps.
Oh, or Octo Rocks.
That's a different series.
That's Zelda, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the bloopers? Bloopers.
Octorocks are the guys who go with the big rocks.
Right. That makes sense.
And bloopers are squids.
You may be wondering why we're making a bunch of references to Mario. Well, I'll tell you, it's because the final trailer for the new Mario movie came out. This came out on the 9th of March, Thursday. I assume it was probably like a movie like in the movie theaters for a premiere or something. I don't really know.
It was a direct.
Oh, it was a direct?
Yeah, I mean, you didn't have to. It was pretty stupid.
Oh.
It was Miyamoto being like, "Hey, it's me, Miyamoto," and then being like, "How about you, Chris San?" And then Chris Meledandri being like, "Hi, I'm Chris Meledandri," and I'm like, "We've done this. This is the third time." And they're like, "Let's throw it to the cast," and then it threw to the cast, and Chris Pratt looked dead in his eyes. Like the others are all smiling, and Chris Pratt's just like, "I'm Chris Pratt."
Well,
Anyway.
there's some new stuff in this trailer. Not a whole lot.
I was gonna say there's not a. I was
Going
surprised
on.
how little new stuff there was, which is good because I don't want the whole thing spoiled. But
Yeah,
is Rainbow Road the finale of the movie though?
probably. I'm feeling like that's what it's going to be.
That sucks. Like
Yeah.
them showing it in the last trailer was already annoying if it's the finale, and this is just like, what if we showed you a little more and then made it the poster?
I feel like Rainbow Road is probably the most familiar because not everybody plays like Super Mario Brothers, but like everyone and their grandmother has played Mario Kart, you know?
I guess I didn't even think about that. Like they showed Mario Kart for the first time. I was like, oh my god, Mario Kart! But I guess you just pointed it out. Like, of course they had to have Mario Kart.
Yeah. Everybody loves Mario Kart.
I think the only thing that I was like, whoa, was the Luma, because I'm like, I really think if they're going into Rainbow Road, they're probably going to integrate Galaxy stuff.
Yeah.
Who's going to voice
Rosalina?
Rosalina? Yeah.
I have something to tell you, Andrew.
Is it you?
I've done the voice of Rosalina for the Mario movie 2023.
Kelly. That's an NDA broken.
Oh, I totally
Oh.
forgot I signed an NDA. My bad.
Kelly, there's a news story attached to this news story, specifically for our audience. We got tickets. We got them. Everybody, take a deep breath. Sigh of relief. We got the tickets.
Confirmed.
Me and Kelly are going. We can't back out now. I mean, you can. You can cancel the tickets until the day of. No, I think you can cancel them until the showtime. Yeah, because
Yeah.
we had to cancel Uncharted the day of because like there was horrible weather that day. Remember?
Yes.
So, yeah. So technically, but let's just say, never mind. I'm going to cut that all out. We're locked in, guys.
We're freaking locked in. I'm going to get me a rum and Coke slushie and a big giant popcorn. I don't care if we eat dinner beforehand. And I'm
Yeah, we're
going to watch
gonna.
the Mario movie and I'm going to have a great time.
What are we going to eat for dinner before? Let's have that discussion on the air. What are we going to eat before?
Well, there's a Quaker steak right by the
Ugh,
movie theater.
that's ruined.
I don't know. Really, the world is our oyster. And by the world, I mean all of Valley View.
I was going to say all of
Just doxed each other.
3 restaurants. Also, we didn't dox ourselves because there's like 80 showtimes for this movie.
That's true.
Although there was very limited 2D shows. I didn't realize that movies were still in 3D. I thought that was like done.
Yeah.
Because we were going to go at like, I was like, oh yeah, we'll go at like 7. That'll be perfect. But then I was looking at the showtimes and it's like, oh, you want to see it in 2D? You have to wait another hour and a half. And I'm like, why? There's like 4 2D showtimes total.
Yeah.
It's dumb. I'm not wearing 3D glasses. You hate 3D, right?
I don't love it.
Like if we have the option to see it in 2D, why would we see it in 3D?
Right. I don't need all the knickknacks.
Yeah. But anyway, we're going to see it. It'll be great. Well, it'll be a great time. I have a good feeling that the movie will be fun. I think it's going to be like a solid 6.5 out of 10. You know?
Yeah. I'm sure
Like-
it'll be a good time.
Memorable experience, decent movie. I feel like it'll be equivalent in quality to like that first Sonic movie.
Yeah.
know,
Give me
good
2
starting
rum and
point.
Coke slushies and it'll probably be the best movie I've ever seen in my life.
I give you a designated driver and 4 of those, and it'll be the best experience of your entire life.
Or maybe not, because I'll probably be asleep.
I think it'll be too loud and bright for you to fall asleep.
You'd be surprised what a rum and Coke slushie can do.
Okay, well, I won't drink one so I can wake you up every 3 minutes.
Kelly, this is just like the game. Kelly, this is just like the game. Kelly, this is just like the game.
I feel like, well, remember when we were at Uncharted, there were like 3 references in that movie total. It was like no references, but when it was, we like looked at each other, we were like,
Yeah.
I feel like we're going to do that a lot more at this one, and it's going to get very annoying for whoever's next to us.
Well, who cares? Dude, it's a Mario movie. If if you don't see the Mario references, then and if you're annoyed at them, then you need to go.
Yeah, you're probably a child, which is probably what all of the audience we're going to is going to be.
Yeah, except for us.
Yeah, when I saw Sonic 2, it was like there were a lot of kids there.
Yeah.
So this is probably going to be similar, but as
For
long
all
as
ages.
we're not alone.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if you're a solo person, it's creepy, but we'll just pretend to be like 11.
I don't think that's going to work for us.
I think there's better options that we could have executed.
Yeah. I agree.
Kelly, dinosaurs.
I love them. If I could go to high tea with some dinosaurs, that would be incredible.
What?
High tea, like tea. Like fancy tea, like tea and snacks.
Yeah. Kelly, Exoprimal is a game about shooting lots of dinosaurs. I know that we
shooting them
with guns. Yeah.
I don't know about all that.
What do you mean? Just look at 30 seconds of the trailer and then you guns.
When was this game made?
It hasn't happened yet. Let me finish the story. It comes out July 14th.
Okay.
I like the implication also that like games were made before guns existed. So it's like, oh, well, this game can't have guns because it was made before guns.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's like more. There's swords too. I'll probably if I play that, I'll play this. It's coming out July 14th. It's by Capcom. Looks kind of dumb. Looks kind of fun.
Kinda.
It looks very dumb.
This looks like maybe one of the dumbest games that has happened in the past like 10 years.
That's not necessarily a bad thing.
No,
though.
This looks like a game that would have come out in 2011.
Yeah, this feels like a late PS2, maybe PS3 game.
Yeah, definitely.
But it comes out July 14th. I can't say dates today. Much to my surprise, it's coming to Game Pass day one. I feel like Game Pass is just absolutely murdering right now with like its third-party support.
Yeah, definitely.
Why? It's just Xbox. Like, why is PlayStation not doing this? Why is PlayStation not paying bank for like Resident Evil 4 remake on PlayStation Plus Premium? Like, think about that. That'd be incredible. It'd like blow minds. But instead, over here, like Xbox is just like, actually, we're gonna pick up like all these awesome B tier titles that like you may not have played, but if they're on Game Pass, sick. Like Wolong, Exoprimal, the Russian one that I don't like. Those are all Atomic Tutor. That's not even a pun. I'm just being rude. Anyway, I'm more excited for this game than I was because it was kind of a meme, but now it's not because it's free. Why would I not be excited? I like free things.
Yeah.
Are you gonna play it?
You
can shoot a T-Rex.
I don't know. Probably not.
What if it's really?
Why are they shooting
really
a Stegosaurus? There's no reason. Stegosaurus don't eat people.
I think all of the dinosaurs are violent in this. They got transported to our world and they're mad about it.
Well, there's an open beta test on March 17th through the 19th if you're interested.
No.
Oh,
Why?
okay.
No, I'm good, Kelly. Thanks.
Okay, bye. You know what game is probably not in beta or open beta or anything?
What?
It's the Gollum game.
It's probably not an alpha.
Remember that game? And we saw the trailer, and it was like, "When was this game made?" And it was like, "This is supposed to come out this year." And it's like, "What? Are you sure about that?" Well, they released a new trailer. It's a story trailer for the Lord of the Rings Gollum. There's a big old warning: game in development does not represent final quality. And it's supposed to come out this year, which is very interesting. Not sure about that. It's coming out on the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 4. And if it gets delayed long enough, it might even come out on the PlayStation 6.
I think it's really interesting that they went and bought some like bootleg toys of the Lord of the Rings characters, and that's what they based the character models in this game off of.
Yeah. So yeah. Everything looks weird. Even Sauron looks a little bit questionable.
The lighting looks nice.
Sure.
I mean, the lighting does look. I think the lighting and like the textures on the environment look fine. But there's a lot of characters in this trailer, and all of them look janky.
Yeah. It looks like an advertisement for like a mobile game.
Mm-hmm. It looks bad.
And Gollum has a ton of hair.
He also just looks scary.
Just not sure about.
He holds hands with that like elf lady, and she looks terrifying.
Yeah. I'm just not sure.
Gollum's like a bad guy, right? I mean, he's misunderstood to an extent, right?
He's like he's like a warning. He's like a symbol of like, this is what could happen to you, Bilbo, or Frodo. Actually, Bilbo meets him too.
Who wants this game is my question, I guess.
Me.
Okay.
Just kidding. I do think it looks a little bit better.
It looks very improved, but also when it's gameplay, I don't think it looks impressive.
No, it looks...
There's very little of that in this trailer.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know who would want to be like, I want to play Gollum. I want to play Gollum.
Well, nobody's going to be saying that because it's never coming out.
Yeah. True.
Kelly, do you have a PlayStation?
I sure do.
Did you know I have one?
Nope.
I have a PlayStation.
Well, you have to go to jail for that, so.
Wee whoop, wee whoop, wee whoop. I don't know what that is. Kelly, I was playing games this week.
Oh, because you're a gamer?
I'm a gamer. Not a lot to talk about because there's not a lot of new stuff, but I put about 10 hours in Octopath Traveler 2. Let me tell you, just getting better. I'm a huge fan of this game. I'll probably jump into it later once I've actually like played a lot of it, but I finished the first chapter of every character. I'm loving it. I think the combat's super cool, and have all the characters, so I know all the different mechanics that they unlock, and I'm a big fan, and I'm looking forward to playing a lot more. It is funny playing 10 hours and feeling like, oh, I just started. But that's because the design of this game, it's like you play the first chapter of everybody, and then things really kick off with the second chapters now that you have a full party.
Yeah.
So, but I'll talk about more later. I played another game that I'm not going to talk about specifics for very much because somebody already did that very recently. Kelly inspired me. So with my partner, I started Persona 5 Royal. We got about 10 hours in because we got a little hooked this weekend. Destroyed it. Got through most of the first palace. I like this song. I will say I like that there's 2 battle themes now. So like if you ambush, you get a different battle theme, which like realistically is going to be about like 60% of your battles, I'd say, are going to be ambushes. So that means you get about like a nice split of hearing different songs, 2 different songs. Is there more?
We'll
discuss off air.
There's some really good songs in the royal section of the game. If you're picking up what I'm putting down
in the DLC, essentially.
Sure.
I will say I like downloaded a DLC pack that it gave me because I have Persona 5, I think. And it just gave us so much stuff.
Are you playing on Game Pass?
No, I'm playing on PlayStation.
Oh, because if you download it from Game Pass, it gives you the like deluxe version, so you get a ton of costumes and a ton of items.
Yeah, I think that's what I got. Maybe that's just the default now.
Yeah, probably.
But like, it gave me like 10 beads and 10 like full SP restores and 10 lock picks and all this stuff, and I was like, geez, like that's incredible. And then there's so many outfits. Like we opened the DLC box in the bedroom, and it was just like DLC. It was like 20 drop-down boxes, and I was like, oh my god, just skip through it. We don't need to know all of this.
Yeah.
And realistically, I feel like a first playthrough, like it's probably good to play with a default costume because it feels nice. But we'll probably switch it up. We'll see.
I like. Well,
just say it.
You haven't played DLC. 3 or 4, right?
I've played 4 completely.
So, if you put everybody in the Yasogami uniform, something interesting might happen.
Does the battle
in
theme change?
battle.
Does the battle team change to Persona 5 4 music? That's sick. That's not a spoiler. It's the
I
DLC
wanted it
that
to be a
comes...
fun surprise for you.
Oh, I mean, I kind of figured when you said that.
And the 3 one is really fun because the 3 battle music is so good, but yeah. Oh my god, it's so good.
I might just have to do that. But anyway, it's fun to play it with somebody new. I mean, like somebody who hasn't played it before, I should say. I played the original game completely. I got Royal right when it came out in 2020. Yeah. I didn't play it, though, because 1, it was right at the beginning of COVID, and 2, I felt still just like a little too recent off of Persona 5, because at that point it had been like little under 3 years since I was done with it. Now it's been, 6 years? Yeah, it came out in April of 2017, so it'll be 6 years shortly here.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it feels more like removed, and I'm able to enjoy it more. There's a lot of new stuff in Royal.
Yeah.
Like I keep being like, oh, that's new. Like the seeds in the palace, I'm like, what? This is new.
Yeah.
And then like anytime I see Kasumi, I'm just like, even though I don't know anything about her, I'm just excited about a new character.
I love her so much. I gaslit myself into believing that the will seeds were in the vanilla Persona 5.
No.
Well,
the first one you get, you have to grapple hook to, which is a new mechanic.
I know, but I was like, I thought the grapple hook was a new mechanic. I didn't think that the will seeds were a new mechanic. I was like, oh, I don't remember this when I first played Persona 5, but whatever.
I don't even know what they do. I just know when you get them, you get an SP recovery, and I was like, whoa, that alone is awesome.
Yeah.
But I'll be playing a lot of that, hopefully finishing it by May. That's the current goal. It'd be really nice to have this done before Tears of the Kingdom, but we'll see.
I believe in you. I think you can do it.
Kelly, did you play games?
I did. I'm playing Persona 3 Portable on Game Pass. I am about 32 hours in, I think.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
That one's a lot shorter, right? It's closer to 70 hours.
Yeah, I'm a good ways in. You kind of stop playing the game. I mean, it kind of ends in like January, I think. I'm in September now.
Oh, okay.
Which is my favorite month of the game because I get my favorite character. I was showing Andrew earlier. You guys can't see, but I have a whole schedule written out for every day of the week in Persona 3.
Okay,
it's on a little piece of paper. Because my time management skills are fine. But I did not finish all the confidants in 5, Royal, which is crazy because they give you a lot more time in 5. Mm-hmm. And in 3, they're a lot more tight with your time. So I really have to like optimize my time. But anyway, I'm playing Persona 3 Portable. Probably finish. I mean, I'll definitely finish before May. But after that, I'm moving on to Persona 4 Golden, which I'm a little bit more excited about because that's the only game that I haven't really played.
Wait, really?
I've played a little bit of it. No, I didn't. I haven't played it. I've seen it, but I haven't played it. Well, I haven't even seen Golden. I've seen 4, like the original.
All of it?
Yes, because when I was younger, there was this I'm kind of dating myself here. There was this platform called, well, they're still around. They're called Giant Bomb, but they had a Persona 4 endurance run, which was basically where two of the guys just sat down and played Persona 4. And every day there was like a new video. They were like 10 minutes long, literally. There were hundreds of videos.
Oh my gosh.
And I was in high school and I watched them all and it was so much fun. And, but that was the original Persona 4. I'd never have fully seen Golden and I've never really played Golden. So I'm excited because there's a lot of characters. I love Kanji. Mm-hmm. And I'm really excited to see him. And I love,
which one are you thinking of? Yukiko, Chie?
No.
Yosuke?
I mean, I love all the girls. I like the cast of Persona 4. It's a little bit more lighthearted than Persona 3, even though it's about murders.
Yeah.
But Persona 3 is all about death. So really the fun doesn't come until Persona 5 when you're just like, I'm just stealing stuff.
Yeah, this is just sexual harassment. No big deal.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. But anyway. So
Persona
that's the plan right now.
A lot more societal. I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you're going to love Persona 4, so I'm excited that this is like the year of Persona for you.
Yeah, definitely. And
Wow,
then
you have a lot to do before October.
Yeah, and then I got a Breath of the Wild 2, and then I got a Baldur's Gate 3, and then I got Starfield. So
in a week, you poor soul.
I'm gonna wait on Starfield because I care more about Baldur's Gate 3. So
You're not even gonna try. It's free. You don't even have to pay for it.
I know. I'll try. I mean, I'll play it, but I'm gonna finish Baldur's Gate 3 first. There's no way I'm putting that game off. No way.
Yeah, no, I would be shocked. I'm considering playing that game over Starfield, but I'll probably just play both. We'll see how the PS5 port of Baldur's Gate is. That's the key there.
Yeah, definitely.
Kelly, we're gonna do something a little unusual. We just talked about why'd you hit the desk? Are you okay?
Sorry.
Angry?
My eczema is really bad right now. You can probably
mine
see.
too, right there.
So I'm like trying not to itch my hands.
So you smash the desk where your microphone's on.
Yeah, exactly.
Good idea. Kelly, we have one more news story. Usually after we say what we played, we're done. But we have one more news story. And that is confirmation that The Last of Us Season 2, as well as presumably Seasons 3, maybe even 4, will cover Last of Us Part 2. This may sound like a given to an outsider, but what that really means is that they're not going to have any gap between. They're just going to jump straight from the first game to the second game, which confuses me a little simply for aging. But I guess they did a really good job of making Pedro Pascal look different ages between episodes 1 and 2. So, I guess they can do that again. But
yeah,
I don't know. We'll find out probably in about a year and a half, I would guess. Kelly, the finale, the last episode of Last of Us Season 1 aired last night.
Yeah, The Cast of Us. I'm sorry.
Oh, good reference.
We can edit that out.
No. We got to remember where we're from.
Remember our roots.
Anyway, I think it's time. Let's give our spoiler-free impressions of the series real quick.
Okay.
What did you think of the series? Just a quick couple sentences that doesn't spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it yet.
Sure. It is very similar to the games. I think it really shined in episodes where it diverted from the games.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Bill and Frank episode, for example. But
Classic.
I do believe that there is a lot of merit to seeing different performances of the same story. I thought Pedro and Bella were really incredible leads. I feel differently. I feel like Pedro's Joel is a little bit different from the game Joel. He's a little bit older. And we've talked about this before, but to me, he's a little bit more emotional. A little bit sadder. I mean, not that Joel's not sad, because Joel's like the saddest man alive, but TV show Joel feels a lot more like on the edge, he's like one bad day away from, from, seeing Anyway, I enjoyed it. I thought it was worth a watch, especially if you really are a fan of The Last of Us. I think that, obviously, I think you'll enjoy this. I think it's a great opportunity for people who aren't familiar with the game to get into it. And I am tentatively looking forward to season 2.
I don't have a lot to add that you didn't cover. I liked the episodes that were different most. I think the Bill and Frank episode is an absolute highlight without competition. But that was also kind of just a short film that hardly had to do with The Last of Us. That's why I was so hopeful that season 2 would be like a whole new story that takes place between part 1 and 2. But oh well. I liked where the series went, even if it didn't surprise me per se. I thought they were going to surprise me a lot more than they did, because the opening couple episodes have some pretty substantial changes, and then they just stopped doing that. The last chunk of the series is basically, if you've played the game, you know what happens. The presentation can change a little bit, and some of the minutia changes a little bit, and there's no infected. For some reason, there's no infected. But you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot more to say that's not spoilery, so I guess, shall we, do you want to say goodbye to the people that are going to leave? real quick, and then
Yeah,
we'll
let's
continue.
get into it.
Bye, people.
I'm
Ooh,
sorry.
I'll do it because you. Yeah, I'll say the goodbye. I'll say your bye.
Okay. To everyone who doesn't want to be spoiled, this is a great time for you to join us next week and leave us this week.
Or come back after you watch the show. Yeah, give us more minutes. Listened.
Well, thanks for listening to you guys.
Bye.
Okay, now everybody who stayed, we're all going to be really mean to the guys who left. Okay, ready?
Yeah, those losers.
Boo!
Stupid losers.
You stink.
Yeah, but you don't even know you stink because you're not here anymore. Unless you came back later, in which case you don't stink anymore. You lost the stink. Good job.
Good job.
Kelly, let me say, I didn't need to know why Ellie was immune.
I didn't mind. I kind of liked it. I get why it's not like the most important part of the story, but I think it added to the element of like her being immune and her circumstance. It's not just like divine
Random.
intervention. It had a reason, and I feel like that reason made her compulsion and her like, I need to do this, like that much stronger. Because it's not just like, oh, some random person in the world is randomly immune. So it's like, whatever, she has to be the cure. It's like, my mother died for this. I have to do this.
Yeah.
And I think that made it more compelling, her distrust in Joel after the fact, because she knows he's lying and she doesn't trust him anymore.
Yeah. And she'll never know what happened with her mom because Marlene is gone.
Right.
And Marlene's the only one that knows that.
Right.
Oh, this is spoilers for both games as well. So be warned if you know the story of the first game but not the second. Be wary.
Yeah.
Okay, so I said it in my spoiler-free thoughts. I loved the first half of this show. I thought they expanded the opening a lot in a good way. I thought they, like, the initial pandemic stages are very interesting, and seeing that from Joel and Sarah's perspective, as well as that one flashback of, like, the flower, or, like, that woman saying, let's bomb everything. I thought those were very interesting. The thing that confused me is the way they were setting it up. I thought they were going to have, like, flashbacks that had nothing to do with the characters every episode. Because they had, like, that talk show bit. They had the talk show bit in the first episode, and then they had that scientist woman in the second episode. And I was like, oh, they'll do this in every episode. And then it made sense. Bill and Frank, they had a lot of, like, early pandemic stuff with Bill. I just thought that was the direction they were going to keep going, and then that's clearly not what happened, which disappointed me a little bit. And also, I said this with the, sixth episode, when they had the cabin scene. I was like, once they started going pretty one-to-one, I found myself comparing it a lot more heavily, with a lot more scrutiny, I should say, because, like, they literally say the same lines. So I am, like, noting how they deliver it differently. And that became a big problem. And also, like, I know I'm just rambling. I think that the game has a lot of commentary on player agency, even if it's kind of, like, maybe a little unintentional and a little bit background. And that's lost. Well, obviously that's lost. You can't have commentaries on player agency if there's no player. But, like, the sequence in the hospital, not playing that sequence, I felt removed some of the impact. Not playing as Joel and Ellie, not moving around and hearing them chat with each other kind of hurt. The scene in the show right at the start of episode 9 where Ellie, like, wasn't talking, that felt a lot worse in the game to me, because in the game there was a lot more walk around banter. So when you take that away, it feels much more jarring. But in this, it's like there wasn't a lot of walk around banter, because there isn't a lot of walk around, because that would be boring for TV, I guess. So there's just certain things that lost their impact by taking away playing it. And I couldn't help but feel, like, not let down. I think the series is pretty darn perfect, but I just think it was a better game. you know?
Mm.
But there's so many people watching this that have never experienced the game, and they're probably like amazed. It doesn't help that I've seen that, like I've played through it 10 times. Like I know what happens too well.
Yeah. I think you and I are looking at it at different perspectives. I think you're coming at it from the angle, obviously, of someone who's played the game and is like from a gamer perspective. Gamer. And I feel a little bit more like I am looking at it from the perspective of a TV show and like the mechanics of it. I actually thought I really enjoyed the hospital scene because there's this like, it's not just like, boom, I shot this guy and that's the sound of him dying. It was like this, the sound of it sort of faded away, and it, you know, you just started hearing like the opening theme, like a rendition of the opening theme softly in the background as Joel's going through this like rampage through the hospital. I felt like it was really well done because I feel like it really perfectly captures sort of the essence of what they were trying to say in this episode, was this sort of destructive love, this sort of like love at all costs, because it's the contrast of like this horrible violence happening versus like the softness of the theme and ultimately his mission, which is to go save her.
Yeah.
I thought it was very, I don't know if interesting is the right word. When you come into it with the context of the second game, and obviously you know about Abby's dad, like seeing him get shot, it was like, oh my God. It's like, it makes your stomach curl and you're like,
This is going to end bad.
Yeah. And like, I couldn't even react really because the person who I was watching it with has not played the second game and doesn't really get it. So I didn't want to be too much. It's like the same thing that happened in episode like 5 or whatever.
The horse.
Yeah, with Shimmer. I was like, oh, there she is. But it's like, that doesn't mean anything to anybody else except for the people who've played the second game.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like I see where you're coming from. And I do think that so much of what makes the games so interesting is this sort of discussion on player agency, is like the way you're just mowing down people, and like the way in the second game they like call each other by name, and they're people, you know, they're not just, it's not infected, it's people. And it kind of, a lot of it is about like, well, what did you do as Joel, as the player, and how is that affecting the future of him and Ellie, that sort of thing, which is something that you lose in the show. Beyond that, though, I do feel like I want them to expand more in the second season on a few different things. I think that something that the second game did that was really interesting was Ellie's like PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that could be very interesting in the show. Now, if they are following the games like 1-to-1, I'm going to miss Pedro a lot because I don't think we're going to get a lot of him in the next season.
No, we'll probably get flashes.
Yeah.
But I think, okay. So that's one thing I'm confused about, because if they're jumping straight into season part 2 with the next season, Bella isn't going to look that much older. They're 19 right now, even though they're really good at playing a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
How much older can that character look in real life? That was the benefit of a video game. Ellie looked a lot older in part 2, but there were flashbacks, and they could just use like a younger Ellie character model. So they had character models for like 14-year-old Ellie and like 16-year-old Ellie and like 18-year-old Ellie. You can't really do that. So a lot of that nuance is kind of lost. That's like one of those things. It's like you need the video game technology is just superior for telling that kind of story. Obviously, you can use CG to change the age of a person to some extent and makeup, but like a video game, it's just straight up like it's different character models. It's perfect.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how they handle that.
I think if they were smart, they would film the flashbacks now, like yesterday, or maybe they did it while they were filming with the knowledge of that they would get a season 2 and it would be the second story. And I think that, you know, given Bella's age when they shot this, they were probably like, what, 17? And now they're 19. So
I guess that makes sense, yeah.
I feel like you can successfully make somebody look older. It's a lot harder to make somebody look younger. But I think you can successfully make somebody look older, not only with makeup, but also with like hair and clothes. And I'm not as concerned about that element of it because I am more than willing to suspend my disbelief that time has passed. I do think it's difficult with the amount of time that's supposed to pass, but I think by the time this show comes out, Bella Ramsey will probably look older anyway, just because you don't really stop aging. I mean, you never stop aging, but you kind of grow into yourself like after, I don't know, like you start to look like yourself in the way you're going to look for a long time, probably around the time you're like 23, 24. So we'll see.
I don't know. I'm curious, and also it's weird hearing people call last night's episode a cliffhanger. That's really weird to me because for years, for so many years, I didn't view it that way. I viewed it as, wow, what a bold way to conclude a story. When I finished The Last of Us, I didn't think anything about the sequel. I didn't think there would be a sequel. So hearing people call this a cliffhanger is weird to me because they know there's a part 2, so they know there's going to be a season 2. And that's something that I'm not being fair because that lens is, you cannot replicate that lens because there is a part 2 now. Nobody ever again in history will be able to play Last of Us Part 1 as a singular product,
Yeah.
They will always have a knowledge of a part 2. But for, you played it when it came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you had that too, where it was several years of dwelling on that ending as an ending. So it's weird hearing it called a cliffhanger. And, that's just, like I said, that's just a difference in perspective because they know, they knew going into this that there was a part 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess
I think...
that's, I didn't have a big point there, but.
No, I see what you're saying. I agree. It's really not a cliffhanger. I mean, I guess it is if you're like eagerly awaiting like what's going to happen once they get to Tommy's, and it's like, well, you find that a whole lot of nothing happens for the most part until something really, really bad happens, and then a whole lot of everything happens. It's like a cliffhanger, in my opinion, would be like, oh, Ellie's at the hospital and we need to get to the hospital. End of season. Like, that would be an insane cliffhanger. I think of like The Walking Dead. Yeah. It was like the end of season 6, I think, when it was like Negan was there and he was trying to decide who to kill, and he bashed somebody's heads in and we did not see the person whose heads he bashed in. It was so stupid. And that was a cliffhanger. But yeah, I can see how that would be a cliffhanger because, yeah, everybody says, okay, part 2 is coming. So what's going to happen in part 2? Now we're left to wonder how Ellie feels about the situation. And it's like, well, you're not really left to wonder because you can just go seek it out. Everything has happened already. And you can see what happens if it's really going to bother you that much. But
I'm so curious how they're going to tackle the structure of the sequel too. Because
it's very oddly structured.
I don't think that they could do that again. Do you? Like, the hatred for Abby that they kind of deliberately boil to an absolute breaking point, and then they thrust you into a position where you are forced to, see eye to eye with this person. I don't know how you capture that on television without, because it's weeks between episodes. And from the sounds of it, seasons. So, theoretically, if they do this in seasons, let's just hypothetically say the first 4 days of Last of Us Part 2 are one season. And then the second 4 days, because, it's split into about 12-hour chunks. So if they do a season for the first 12 hours of the game, season for the second 12 hours of the game, imagine having to dwell on that hatred, that stew on that, for a year and a half between seasons. that seems even more bonkers, and like you wouldn't be able to convince your audience to get over it.
I think it will be very, very, very difficult to really let the character of Abby be the same exact Abby in the games. If that makes sense. I feel like they
might have to start with the sympathy, right?
I don't know. It's hard because I don't think they should do that, but audiences are going to respond a certain type of way. I'm sure they'll do like test audiences, like, oh, let's test one audience and see how they feel about Abby when we go into Abby's backstory first. Or let's test the other audience and just do it how the game is structured. It's just hard. People who, there might not be as much patience. And think about when The Last of Us 2 came out. There was no patience for Abby. Nobody cared.
And that came out as one product. People were able to play it right away.
Right. So it's like, can you imagine? Like, there's so much less patience. And I think there's not necessarily going to be less nuance, but, you know, more people are watching the show and more people are going to watch season 2 because season 1 was so popular. It was a water cooler show. So it's like general audiences and Abby already did not mesh very well. I cannot imagine what it's going to be like through the TV show. And I feel really badly for the actress who's going to play Abby because I feel like that is going to be a very, very, especially considering fan groups online now, and especially considering the character that she's killing and the actor that plays him.
She'll know, though. She'll know, like, Laura Bailey will be able to prep that actor thoroughly.
I hope so.
Which is good. Like,
it's not fair and it's not right, but it's just the way online fandom works now. People are crazy. They can't differentiate reality and television. They've lost their brains have melted from COVID-19. And it's true.
If you hated on Abby, it's because you had COVID. Look at that. The Venn diagram's a circle.
I'm just saying it's okay to hate Abby.
Yeah, you're supposed to hate Abby. You're supposed to hate her.
To not hate her, especially when you first play the game, and when she first kills Joel.
I love her though. Like I don't love her like I would want to be her best friend, but like she's an incredibly written character, and her motivation makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's fun because it sucks because we love Joel, and by the end of the Abby story, you kind of love Abby. So It's brutal that you're like, oh, these characters clash. And clash is a nice word for what happens. And now you have to like pick this weird middle ground. And the same thing happens, like Ellie and Abby are clashing. Again, soft version of what's happening. And you're like, I adore both these characters.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, you definitely, the game, the game makes them parallel characters for a reason. They're going on the same journeys. It's just that's the whole point. Is this cycle of revenge? It just keeps going on and on and on until somebody breaks it. And I think that the writers of the Craig Mazin, I think he's a great writer.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a great director. I watched Chernobyl. Did you watch Chernobyl?
I've started. I haven't finished it yet.
It's devastating. It is a really hard show to watch. But he was really, really passionate about it. They had like a podcast for every episode, which is the same they have for The Last of Us. They have like a podcast for every episode. It's like him and Neil Druckmann and Troy Baker. But it's like, I think that this is someone who's really passionate about the story. And that to me provides a sense of comfort because even if even if you go into season 2 with the knowledge of like the crazy fan base and like it's going to be very divisive, I think understanding that the creator knows the intent and that the creator cares about the intent of the story, I think that's the most important thing to me. Because I don't mind as much like the one-to-one-ness. I understand that complaint, or complaint's not the right word. I understand that criticism. I don't mind it as much because like I said, I do think there's a benefit to hearing the same story through different medium and through different lenses.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you know Laura Bailey was in last night's episode? She had a cameo.
Yeah, she's one of the nurses.
That's so funny. I was, I read on Twitter and I was like, no way. And then someone posted a picture and I was like, oh my God, there she is.
I love her. I hope that she has an actual role in the next season somehow, because she's an incredible actor.
Yeah.
The thing for me also is that I have not replayed I've replayed Last of Us 10 times. I'm not exaggerating. I've replayed part 2 0 times. When I played part 2, it was one of the most grueling pieces of media I've ever consumed. I felt this sense of dread in like the pit of my stomach for 2 real life weeks while I finished it. Like, when I wasn't playing it, I felt like almost sick with dread because the plot is so incredibly painful and dour. And I want to replay it at some point. I will definitely replay it before the next season of the show comes out. But part of me also wonders, like, how do you maintain an audience with that? I mean, I guess it probably will succeed because Last of Us 2 is an incredibly well-selling game, so people like the game. But, like, a lot of people quit that game. Very few people, not very few people, but, like, you can look at, like, the trophy stats. Mm-hmm. Not that many people finished Last of Us Part 2 out of everybody who bought it.
I'm thinking a lot of people will stop watching after Joel dies.
Which is like 10 minutes in the first episode, probably.
Yeah. I think that's just what's going to happen. I don't necessarily think it's going to be a big like drop in ratings. I just think that people are going to say, well, I wanted to watch Joel and I wanted to watch Pedro and I don't care anymore. Which is crazy because it's not about him. It's about the story. And it's really about Ellie. I mean, at the end of the day. And it's, you know, you can't fault anybody for liking Joel. They make him, despite his best efforts, they make him very likable in his own way. He's a
lot more likable in this show, I think.
His love and care for Ellie alone is redeeming to me, even though it's ultimately what damns him. But I'm biased because I like Pedro. So
I also just found out, I looked up while we were talking, Last of Us Part 2 is the highest completion rating of a major PlayStation 4 game, 58%.
Wow.
Which for a game, that's really high.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm so curious, and I think this is going to fade to the back of my mind very quickly because this series didn't have a major impact on me because I've knew the story so well. I mean, no, like, that's not a negative to the creators. They did an incredible job, but I just know the story too well. There was no way that they could have made this hit home. The only time that they made me absolutely, like, affected was the Bill and Frank story, which is entirely new. Mm-hmm. So I am not capable of being affected in that way. I also worry, okay, this is my one petty grievance, and it's not really a grievance. Ashley Johnson is profoundly good as Ellie, especially in part 2. Her her performance is just on another level. It is unbelievable. And she has a range that I don't think Bella Ramsey has. I think Bella Ramsey's going for something more nuanced. It's not like she's talentless. She is incredibly talented. But I don't know. I just think Ashley Johnson was so perfect in part 2 that some of the big moments are going to be hard to hit the same way. Because there's a lot of, like, extreme distress in part 2 that Ashley Johnson did an incredible job of expressing, and I don't know how that will translate. And there is a part in episode 8 that I'm not going to talk about because it's, you know, really, really dark, and I don't need to bring that up. But Bella Ramsey did knock it out of the park. Definitely knows how to be upset on camera. But I'm just curious how that'll be handled for a whole season or 2 of television. Because part 2 is just it's just one of the most dour stories ever told in media.
Yeah, yeah. I think they will pull it out of the bag.
They will pull that bag right out of the river.
Why was it in the river?
I don't know. I'm tired. We've been talking a long time.
That's true.
I like Last of Us. I'm glad this TV show exists because I think the story deserves to be told in a wider way. And this show's just going to continue to grow. You know, people are, now that it's over, there's going to be a giant influx of audience members who are like, season 1's over, now we'll watch it. You know, like the binge audience. This property is already huge, and now it's just going to become even bigger. It's going to put a lot more pressure on the games, and that's a good thing, I think. It's weird to me that the next thing in the pipeline is the multiplayer game. Realistically, that should come before season 2 of the show. It probably won't. That's actually not realistic. TV gets made a lot faster than video games.
Yeah.
I'm also very curious when they finish The Last of Us Part 2 if they stop.
I mean,
HBO is pretty good about finishing things, right? They don't drag things on longer than they need to be going. Usually they just...
No. I can't even... I mean, my favorite HBO show, Succession, is ending this season after only 4 seasons.
Barry
Granted, there's
is
no
one of my
source
favorites.
material. That's true.
Barry's one of my favorites, and that 4th season just got announced to be the last season.
That's crazy.
And we didn't even know that.
The truth is that HBO shows are A, very expensive, B, very high quality, and C, they are... Remember how I said they were very expensive? Yeah. They're more expensive than you think they are.
They're very expensive. What?
So I'm sure that they just don't last long based on that metric alone.
Yeah.
Unless you're like Game of Thrones, which is their most expensive show to make, but it also makes them the most shmoney.
It's also their source material, so they're not just like stretching it. They were making seasons based on books.
Right. And then they ran out of source material and they were like,
uh-oh. What if they made a Last of Us like Part 3, but it was just the show and they just absolutely terribly ruined it? That's not funny. I don't know why I said that.
I don't actually foresee that being that bad because Neil Druckmann would probably be working on it with them. Whereas Game of Thrones, George R. R. Martin was like, I gotta go. And they were like, well, we don't have George anymore. What do we do?
George. He's like, I gotta go make Elden Ring.
He's like, sorry, I'm working on Smelden Ring. I don't know why I call it Smelden Ring. It's a really incredible game. It's just like something's rewired in my brain that I can't call it its regular name anymore.
It's been a year. Like the game came out over a year ago and you've been saying it nonstop since before release.
True.
Kelly, I feel like we owe the audience the end of the episode.
Yeah. Thank you to everyone who has stuck around and listened to us talk about The Last of Us.
Bless
Excuse me. And listen to me hiccup.
You've been blessed.
Thank you. I
meant the people for getting blessed by your hiccup.
Oh, there's another one. I hope you're all having an incredible day. And I'm excited for you to come back next week when we talk about, I don't know, whatever Andrew thinks he's doing right now on my screen, which you can't see.
I'm giving me a thumbs down. Because I don't want this episode to be over. I love this show so much.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. Kelly has raised her hand. I think it's time to end the episode. We're playing with the Google chat features now.
Okay,
Kelly, what'd you play this week? The Google chat features.
I raised my hand up and down 5 times. Okay, bye everybody. Thanks for listening. Bye.